Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is What If Tanjiro had one for all. A little bit of a crossover with My Hero Academia. I've done this before in the past, but I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do it again. It's been a very long time since I've done it, so I was like, why not? Let's just revisit it and do something a little bit different than I did last time. Now, before I start with the video, I do want to say sorry for the lack of uploads. I actually got pretty sick. And my voice was like completely jacked up. I was coughing every 2 seconds. It was like, I'm still a little bit sick right now, but it was impossible basically to record. And if I was recording, I could only record for like 15 minutes. And these videos take me at least like 30 minutes of just sitting down and talking. So yeah, unfortunately, I had to take a bit of a break, but I am back. So I'm going to try to get back on the grind once again. And with that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into the what if. So let's get it. Tanjiro Kamado, he isn't born necessarily with these powers. The powers of One for All is something that Tanjiro really doesn't know anything about for quite a bit of time. And the reason why he knows nothing about it is because it doesn't show up at all. And he would actually be the first case of these super-like abilities showing up. Now, obviously, they wouldn't know it's the idea of it being a quirk or anything along those lines, but they do know it as some sort of superpower. And that's exactly what Tanjiro Kamado would figure out that he has. Because one day, when his father and him are out and about, and they see a bear come out of nowhere to basically strike them down, something within Tanjiro awakens. Something that he didn't know really existed, but a power would surge through him, and it would end up on one of his arms. And while his dad tells him to stay back, Tanjiro would jump into action, and he would punch the bear straight in the face. As he does this, the bear would basically get absolutely KO'd, if not obliterated entirely. But Tanjiro's arm would shatter into pieces. And, you know, not shatter in the way of like, oh, his whole arm just like is gone now, but it shatter in the way of like, damn, I just broke my arm and it hurts extremely bad and it's going to take a long time to recover. And that's exactly what happens with Tanjiro in this kind of circumstance. But his father, well, he's very interested in how he did this, where it comes from, and what is exactly going on. He is at a loss for words. I mean, genuinely at a loss for words. He's thinking to himself, I don't get how my kid was able to do that. How was he able to just absolutely just smack something in the face, absolutely just destroy a bear that just showed up in front of us? He was able to do it so easily, but how? Now, easily is a little bit, out there, because obviously easily wouldn't be shattering your arm, but still, it was an impressive feat. And, well, let's just say this would lead to Tanjiro's father trying to teach him things a little bit more, right? Kind of break down a couple ideas of, like, breathing styles and basically the Hinokami Kagura, trying to teach him a couple extra things, because frankly, when he sees that his son can do these freaking insane things, or was able to do this insane thing, he starts thinking to himself that his son has the potential beyond anything that he's really ever seen. Now, unfortunately, his father would still pass away, and life would go on very similar, if not exactly the way it normally does, leading to him obviously having his family slain by a demon, and his sister Nezuko being turned into a demon, and eventually he would face off with Giyu Tomioka. But Giyu, well, he would find out quickly that Tanjiro has something that is different than anything else, because he sees from Tanjiro the power that he is packing. But luckily he's able to move out of the way over a basically 100% punch, because not only would it have destroyed Tanjiro's arm once again, it probably would have completely destroyed Giyu Tomioka as well, But at the same time, He sees this, knocks him out, and does the same thing he normally does, sends him off to Urokodaki. But he sends him off with a little bit more information. information about Tanjiro's ability to enhance his own physical and his physical strength and capabilities. And that right there would make Tanjiro's entire training session or its entire training years with Urokodaki different. Because yes, he would be training, learning everything he normally does, but while doing this, he starts learning how to utilize the powers that he has, starts learning how to utilize his abilities of basically utilizing One For All, his abilities to channel this strength and use it to its highest degree. And through the usage of basically water breathing, breathing styles, concentration breathing, he's able to start cranking his One For All like actually pretty well. Now, initially, it's a lot of like trying to control this unbeknownst strength that he has. And Urokodaki actually helps him quite a bit, because when you combine concentration breathing with One For All, it kind of acts as the perfect usage of actually flowing one for all throughout your entire body at a specific rate. Now, for now, he definitely starts at like 10%, nothing crazy. He doesn't go out of his way, but he also has like a year and a half, if not longer, to learn and try to train as much as he possibly can. And with that much time, who says that he wouldn't have way more strength than you could possibly imagine? But just in case, since it's unknown, and frankly, let's be honest, it's a lot of unknowns in terms of, you know, his physical ability with One For All, he decides to keep it somewhat slow. He doesn't want to overwork himself or somehow end himself, you know, shatter his entire body and, you know, kill him or hurt himself. So he makes sure to, you know, be safe about it. He makes sure that he's not going to, you know, get himself into really, really bad trouble or in a really bad circumstance. So what he does is he kind of trains properly with it, tries to master the idea of utilizing it at about 10%. And it's a perfect thing for Tanjiro, because this 10% isn't just making him 10% stronger. It is a totally different thing in terms of a multiplier, and it makes him drastically more powerful. Because combining water breathing and One For All in its entirety allows him to really up his power by a large margin. And frankly, there's really no question for Urokodaki that Tanjiro has the full capabilities of really going on and defeating the final selection. Now, he goes on after training with Urokodaki, the spirits of Sabito and Makomo, and he goes to face off at the final selection. And before you know it, he is ridiculously outpacing all of the demons that are within the final selection. And frankly, everybody's kind of in awe. They're like, whoa, this kid is strong. He is ridiculously powerful. How is he able to do these things? Like, this is crazy. And they're in complete and utter awe about Tanjiro's power, where he's getting it from, and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, they're thinking, well, for one, how does it even make sense that he's this strong? How does it make sense that he can do the things that he's doing? I mean, genuinely, they are confused. They are really confused. Because they're thinking, it looks like he's moving at a, I wouldn't say amateur level in terms of, you know, his ability to utilize kind of like, you know, your random typical water breathing or your typical breathing style. It's not like he's an amateur necessarily, but he definitely doesn't look like he's some high level, super, really good, really talented type of, you know, breathing style user. He doesn't look like that for the most part. He looks like he's still kind of learning, like he's still like an amateur. But in terms of raw strength, speed, and everything else, he seems to be at a really high level, way higher than most people that would be training at his somewhat, you know, skill gap, right? And he slays legitimately all the demons here, and even starts utilizing this kind of week or 2 weeks of the final selection to kind of amp his One For All even higher, kind of pushing it towards the 20%. And as he does, I mean, his strength gets overwhelming in terms of how strong he could really get. And he realizes that the 20% isn't even really having an effect on his body. It's not hurting him really. It's not messing with him really. and it's really not like pushing his body to a different degree. It seems as if his body isn't really feeling the effects of the 20%, even though really when he was younger, you know, when he used 100%, it like destroyed his body, excuse me. So it was pretty crazy, or it's pretty crazy for Tanjiro to see that his strength is just going up and up and up at a really rapid rate. After the final selection, he gets his Nichiren ore, heads back to Urokodaki, and he would prepare to go on his first mission. And once they head to his first mission, or once he goes to that first mission with Nezuko, I mean, this Swamp Demon wouldn't stand a chance. The Swamp Demon would straight up get speed blitz. Like, he would get speed blitz out of all hell. Like, it would be ridiculous. But I will say, throughout this time, yeah, Tanjiro is really powerful and really strong and super capable, but he's not going to get stronger necessarily throughout this time, because there's no real pushback on what he goes through. There's no real pushback on his fighting capabilities as a regular demon slayer, not just a quirk user, which obviously he doesn't know that a one for all or whatever he has, this power up, is known as a quirk or anything like that. But at the same time, he's not really getting a ton of pushback, so obviously he's not going to get that much stronger. But he does know is if he's training, he can't use one for all unless he is training to up one for all or up this power as much as he possibly can. Now, as he would obviously defeat the Swamp Demon very easily, he would eventually go to the city that never sleeps, and he would basically be in contact with Muzan for the very first time. Now, everything that happens all the way up until the fight with Susumaru and Yahaba go exactly the same. He still talks with Lady Tamayo and Yushiro. He can't fight Muzan. Like, not only can he not fight him in terms of raw strength, but he can't fight him as well because, you know, he doesn't want to have everybody else get hurt or everybody else, you know, be in a bad kind of position or in a bad scenario where they get hurt or they get killed because of a fight that breaks out. Obviously, Tanjiro refuses to kind of, you know, put everybody in harm's way, so he holds off on that idea. But when he speaks with Yushiro and Lady Tamayo, eventually a fight would break out between Susumaru and Yahaba versus Tanjiro, Nezuko, Lady Tamayo, and all of them. But in terms of strength, Tanjiro is still faster and better than all of them, right? He's better than Susumaru and Yahaba in terms of raw strength and speed. It's just harder for him to see the things that are going on, aka the arrows that are flying through the sky. Now, obviously, with the help of Yushiro, he's able to actually see those, but once he does, all the little advantages that they have, Susumaru and Yahaba, they just go away. Because Tanjiro pushes that 20% of one for all with a combination of concentration breathing and water breathing itself, and he absolutely outpaces and makes them look like an absolute joke. Now, with that said, he's not going to be awakening anything else beyond literally the power up of one for all. And the reason why I say this is, in this world, he actually gains one for all, kind of like a regular quirk or a regular quirk user. It was not passed down by any means, but it doesn't change the fact that his ability to utilize one for all, or one for all itself, yeah, it's probably weaker than normal, the one we see in My Hero Academia, but it's still very, very powerful when we're talking about putting it upon somebody who has already a strength / ability multiplier in concentration breathing and in water breathing. So with Susumaru and Yahaba defeated very easily and quickly, Tanjiro handles business there, speaks with Lady Tamayo and Yushiro further about what they're going to do, about basically like what they should be looking forward to, and more specifically, getting a cure for his sister, Nezuko. And that right there is the important part, and would lead Tanjiro to continuing his missions, because he has to, well, get the blood of the 12 Kizuki, or blood of very many demons, so that he can basically get a cure for his sister. Now, when he goes off, once again, he does meet Zenitsu for the first time, obviously groveling and crying over a woman or a female, and he tells him, like, dude, we gotta go. Like, we're gonna go on a mission. You're coming with me. And obviously he's like, no, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And, well, let's just say Tanjiro, he doesn't really care. He's like, you're coming with me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's go. So that's exactly what they do. They head off to this nearby mansion to save the brother of these two little kids, and Tanjiro would actually face off with the one and only Kyogai, a former member of the 12 Kizuki, and this would be the first chance that he gets to see what kind of power these people are at, or these types of demons are at. And Kyogai, yeah, he does kind of push Tanjiro, because Tanjiro has been kind of playing on easy mode here. He's been kind of defeating a lot of them. So Tanjiro tries to push himself with water breathing and his ability with concentration breathing further, so that he could, you know, somehow not have to rely on this like overwhelming kind of strength power that he has. And he's doing everything he can, right, to push himself beyond that without using One For All. And without using One For All, it does make the fight harder, like way harder. But he does realize kind of where he's at in terms of his breathing style, which then he would crank up One For All and surprise Kyogai with one of the fastest attacks that he has ever seen in his life. Now, obviously, his life was now over, so you're not seeing anything faster, but he is in complete and utter shock, thinking the kid upped his speed by a multiple times, and he doesn't understand how it even makes sense, how he can comprehend it. He doesn't get it. How is he able to amp himself to that degree just out of nowhere? Was he holding back the entire time? He has no idea. But what he does know, is that he is now gone, and his blood would obviously get taken by Tanjiro. Tanjiro would send it with the little kitty cat, and after all this is said and done, he would head outside, and he would see a boar mask fellow actually beating up on Zenitsu. Now, when this fight would break out between Tanjiro and Inosuke, I mean, this fight's not that fair. I mean, Tanjiro still, yeah, he might not be the best at hand-to-hand combat, but in terms of like actual strength and speed, he outclasses Inosuke by quite a bit, especially with the utilization of One For All. And when he starts utilizing it, Inosuke realizes quickly, like, whoa, what is happening? How is he able to do that? How is he so fast? And eventually the fight would come to an end with a nice firm headbutt. Now, after all that is said and done, now they're able to calm everything down and head off together as a trio, and they get a bit of rest in a nearby place. You know, some food, some rest, and all that stuff. And eventually their next orders would come through. And Tanjiro and the group, or Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro, well, a little less than Zenitsu, because Zenitsu is still pretty damn scared. But they go up to Mount Natagumo to basically try to help out the demon slayers that have been captured over there. And Tanjiro, well, he tries his best to kind of save as many of them as possible, but he kind of can't. Like, it doesn't work out the way he wants to, and he would end up having to fight off these puppeted demon slayers, and then eventually a mother spider demon's doll, in which wouldn't be too difficult of a fight, especially with both of them there. And eventually he would come across the mother spider demon, which he goes in for the killing blow almost instantly, but then realizes that she obviously doesn't want to be living on this plane of existence anymore. So he grants her a very smooth, smooth way to the afterlife. And then eventually him and Inosuke would go off to fight against the one and only father spider demon. And this fight would actually go differently, because Tanjiro is quite a bit stronger, and he's able to actually slice through the father spider demon's skin, which is pretty damn durable, but he's able to actually help Inosuke in defeating him here. And they're able to defeat him, and eventually would face off with Rui. But when they face off with Rui, Tanjiro can tell that this is not the best idea for Inosuke to fight alongside him, and he tells Inosuke to go off and help the others, and that he will handle this demon. Inosuke initially just refuses, and he doesn't want to, but eventually he would listen. Tanjiro would have him go off to help other people and or help anybody else that needs it, and he would face off with Rui. And with 20% of One For All, he is outclassing Rui in terms of speed, in terms of strength, but not by a margin that is ridiculous, like insane, right? And Rui shows off his blood demon arts, which covers the gap between them, and Tanjiro has to unveil and will reveal this first ever usage of something known as the Hinokami Kagura. And luckily enough, he actually has more information on this than normal. And the reason for this is because his father wanted to give him more information and more insight on kind of this idea of a breathing style and this idea of just like, you know, what the Hinokami Kagura is and stuff like that. I mean, these things help a ton. All the insight, all the ideas and everything in between helps a ton for Tanjiro. And he's able to start like understanding, all right, like what do I do here? What's going on here? Like how do I approach these things? And that right there is perfect for Tanjiro and perfect for understanding and learning and figuring things out. And once the Hinokami Kagura is awakened and once he starts being able to utilize it on top of his ability to utilize One for All, Rui is a joke of a fight and he outclasses Rui by a large margin, defeating him even without the help of Giyu or the assistance of Giyu, aka have Giyu defeat him himself. Now after the defeat of Rui, Giyu kind of sees that Tanjiro has Rui defeated, but Tanjiro is tired, like he is dead tired, and he is like, you know, gasping for air. And obviously Giyu is like, well, good job, like this is pretty damn impressive. I mean, you are close to, if not on the level of a Hashira in technicality now. And after all this is being said, Shinobu would come out of nowhere to try to, well, end Nezuko. And of course, they would try to stop it. And basically, Tanjiro would pick up Nezuko and try to get away with her. But Kanao would come out of nowhere as well, leading to Tanjiro having to fend her off while Nezuko runs away. Now, all that goes about exactly the same. Tanjiro is so tired to the point where he gets knocked out pretty easily. And after they get brought over to the Hashira mansion and the headquarters and stuff like that, he's obviously trialed and all the above. And he tells them like his sister has never hurt a human. His sister is a good demon and is blah, 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 all this stuff. But they refuse to believe anything. And eventually, well, the Wind Hashira decides, oh, I'm gonna, you know, attack the box and I'm going to show you guys all. And this would lead to Tanjiro landing that headbutt, and that headbutt would be way worse this time around because he would be utilizing 10 or 20% of One for All. And the little, you know, the ropes that are on him, yeah, that doesn't stay on him very long. Those get ripped off, and he not only lands the headbutt but lands a kick as well. And immediately everyone's in shock, like, oh my goodness, like how did that kid just do that? Like, that is ridiculous, the strength he just showed. And well, eventually it all gets shut down. Ubuyashiki, you know, starts their meeting, and they obviously get the blessing for Nezuko and Tanjiro to be demon slayers, and everything's all right, right? It turns out all right. Now, a lot of them disagree. They're like, oh, we can't agree with this. You know, we can't have this, blah, blah, blah. But of course, they would kind of be forced into, like, you know, doing it, because at the end of the day, they don't really have a crazy choice on it. They don't have like some insane choice to do whatever they want. So yeah, eventually they're gonna have to be like, all right, you know what, fine, we'll let this go for now, but we're gonna keep an eye on them and yada yada yada. So that's exactly what happens. And of course, Tanjiro would then from here on out continue his training, preparing, and all the above. And a lot of the Hashira would actually be interested, because they're like, well, he defeated one of the 12 Kizuki. That's pretty impressive. Not many regular demon slayers do that, right? And not many of these just regular, you know, demon slayers are able to do something along those lines. And it seems to me that he has a lot more strength hidden beneath all that, more than anyone could really even think about. In which, that is the truth. Tanjiro's strength is beyond anyone's comprehension at this point. And when he starts preparing, learns concentration, breathing constant, and everything else, it starts his rehabilitation training and all that, his strength goes way up, way, way, way up. Because not only does he get a little bit more of an understanding on the Hinokami Kagura, he also is able to now effectively utilize One for All at like 40 to 50%. Probably 50% would be more of a arguable idea. And that would basically allow him to just crank his power up by a insane margin. But the one thing he wants to learn more about is definitely with Rengoku, or obviously learn more about sun breathing. And that's something he really needs to get ahead on and really needs to start understanding. And that's what he starts doing, right? He goes off to Rengoku, meets him at the Mugen train, and yes, they go through the whole, like, they all go to sleep. Tanjiro would eventually wake up the same way he normally does and would face off with Enmu. And he would, on his own, be able to defeat Enmu very easily, because he learns how to utilize 50%, yes, with a little bit of like hurting and a little bit of pushback, but at the same time he's able to utilize it without a ton of strain, and he obliterates all the demons throughout this train. Not only is his normal physical ability like ridiculously strong, with the added 50% of One For All, it allows him to multiply his strength, speed, and so much more by an insane margin, by a ridiculous margin. And it allows him to absolutely cut through Enmu and put him basically away for good in a very quick succession. Now, where things drastically change is with the appearance of Akaza. Tanjiro watches that fight, and he thinks to himself that with 50% of One For All, 50% of this power he can utilize, which, by the way, he doesn't know anything about this, but that's what I'm referring to it as. Like, he doesn't know it's One For All. He doesn't know it's 50%, not really, at least to an extent. He just knows that he's utilizing a specific portion of it. And on top of that, he's thinking to himself, he can help Rengoku, right? He can stand beside him and fight, and he thinks about it, and he is about to actually attempt it, but then Rengoku basically tells him that he is the future, that he will not risk his life in a fight like this, and he will fight Akaza on his own. In which Akaza, he takes this as like, yeah, you're a true warrior, you're this, you're that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are the real warrior, and I respect you for that, and you should become a demon, and blah blah blah. But Tanjiro, he has something else going through his mind when Rengoku is fighting. When Rengoku would go for his final attack, his all or nothing moment, Rengoku would go in for that final strike that would basically end him, but hopefully end Akaza. Tanjiro would crank his One For All up to its maximum, to 100%. And he would do so and swing his sword right at the neck of Akaza, and he would show up out of nowhere while Rengoku is fighting. And Akaza's like, what the hell is that? Because he could feel the presence of the fighting aura of Rengoku, or of Tanjiro, but it's almost the same fighting spirit as if it's like Rengoku's. But that's not fighting spirit necessarily. It's actually just the feeling and the kind of the heat and the gravity of One For All itself. Tanjiro would show up behind Akaza, and Rengoku would show up right in the front of Akaza with their swords ready to swing. And before Akaza could even react, Tanjiro slices his head clean off with the help of Rengoku, literally with 100% of One For All. And when he does this, he shatters his arm, because he realizes that the 100% gets stronger and stronger the more powerful his physical capabilities get in a normal sense. Stacking on top of his concentration breathing and his abilities and his normal, water breathing and all that, it has allowed him to push the boundaries of One For All even further. So yeah, it shatters his arms, but it still makes it so the blow he just threw is more powerful than anything anyone has seen in a very long time. And Akaza, well, his head would clatter on the ground, but his body would still move and would start striking at Rengoku, trying to end him, being that the fighting spirit of Tanjiro is basically now gone, because he's on the ground, out cold, injured massively, and One For All has now basically worn off. And as Rengoku would try to fight off this just headless Akaza, it would definitely make them realize that it seems as if the demons have a way of actually pushing the boundaries of just, being weak to having their head cut off. And that right there would tell them a lot, like genuinely a lot of information. But eventually Akaza would be defeated with the sun eventually rising. But unfortunately, Rengoku would be, well, killed in the heat of battle, and Tanjiro would be put out of commission for quite a while, being unable to really help or do anything for quite a good amount of time. But when he wakes up, he sees the kind of the messages and all these ideas, and basically and eventually goes off to see the family of Rengoku, all that stuff, right? Learns about sun breathing, and even gets the hilt of Rengoku as well. Now, he isn't able to actually be intertwined into the entertainment district arc, but with Inosuke and Zenitsu pushing themselves to try to keep up with Tanjiro, it does help out. It does make it so that their entertainment district whole situation isn't as difficult as you would think it would be. It definitely ends up being where Tengen still retires, but they're able to defeat Daki and Gyutaro with a more powered up and stronger version or versions of Zenitsu and Inosuke. I mean, having to keep up with Tanjiro is one thing, but keeping up with him where he is legitimately leaps and bounds above you is something else. And they know that they want to keep up, so they're going to do everything in their power to try their best and do just that. Now, it's difficult, like very difficult, but at the same time, it is no joke in terms of the strength and no joke in terms of them trying to keep up. And they're kind of on their own for now, but Tanjiro takes his time to continue training and continue preparing. Now, obviously, he gets a lot more attention from various Hashira that come in and out of there because they're thinking he needs to continue training, continue preparing, and that's what a lot of the time is set up for Tanjiro to be. Preparing, training, and doing all of the above. And he even works with some of the Hashira alike because they're trying to help him learn and push the boundaries of his ability to utilize One for All, or whatever that ability is. They don't really know, obviously. And obviously learn sun breathing as well. And his skill, capability, his ability and power, speed, and all the above is ridiculous at this point. And he hasn't even gone through Hashira training. Now, this would lead him to obviously the Swordsmith's Village, where he would get a lot of great training and a lot of great like ability to push himself and learning and stuff along those lines. And eventually they would be confronted by various demons, mostly two of them, obviously Hantengu and Gyoko. And Tanjiro, well, let's just say at this point makes Hantengu look like a joke. I mean, genuinely look like a joke. And it seems to him that they're able to defeat and slay a lot of these other demons in a pretty damn quick succession, and pretty easily, in fact. And eventually, all these two demons are defeated swiftly and dealt with. But before Nezuko could even conquer or even have a chance to conquer the sun. And this kind of takes away the moment for Muzan, the moment where he sees it as the perfect time to try to flip over all the cards, right? Try to hunt down Nezuko, defeat all the demon slayers, and yada yada yada. But with that happening, with the lack of that, he does kind of put that on the back foot, because he's thinking to himself that, yeah, he could send out other demons, he could do this, he could do that, but for now, just getting more information about this sister and more information about this or that is of the most priority. But what he doesn't know is that a cure is being made as they speak, and Nezuko, well, let's just say Nezuko will be cured before he could even learn if she could conquer the sun or not. But let's just say that when he would eventually decide to just take a peek for himself, it would already be too late. The Hashira's training would be ensuing, Tanjiro's power would be skyrocketing, and he would quickly realize that he has really very little choices here. Because the choices are, try to go kill or end Tanjiro now, or wait a couple hundred more years to try and find a way to defeat him. And knowing Muzan, that's the mistake that he's going to make. Because, yeah, he'll look at the demon slayers that are out and about now, and after the defeat of Akaza, it'll make him question, should he really do this? Akaza was his most faithful servant, basically his strongest faithful servant. Obviously Doma and Kokushibo are stronger, but in terms of, you know, an actual faithful servant and, you know, a perfect person for Muzan, Akaza was that. Now, without him, do they really want to test their luck on these demon slayers? This new generation might just be like the end-all be-all, and there's nothing for them to fight for, especially because they have no idea Nezuko had the chance of even becoming an immortal demon now, or like, you know, becoming immune to the sun. Now, with that said, he would be thinking, okay, fine, we'll wait. And as they wait, and as all of these things continue on, yes, Tanjiro awakens his Demon Slayer mark just like normal, stuff along those lines. But during this time, I mean, Tanjiro didn't even need it necessarily, right? He's way more powerful than he would have been in the original. And on top of that, way more powerful than any Hashira that is around him. And he would slay many demons. Any demon that is like, you know, that lower moon status type of thing, or the lower upper moons, excuse me, would be defeated. Like, they would be ex-nayed, destroyed. Even if some of the stronger ones come out and try to face him, like, these people, they will have a hard time. And these other demon slayers, well, with the help of them as well, it will be a difficult time too. But what Muzan doesn't know is that Tanjiro is only going to pass on his ability utilizing a quirk known as One for All. And what he doesn't know, or what Muzan doesn't know, is that the more is passed on, the stronger it's going to get. And even if Tanjiro doesn't know he's passing it on, like, through natural means, aka through, you know, like just having a kid or something along those lines, Muzan has no idea that it's only going to get more powerful, and that, yes, as the years go on, he might have more time to figure out how to become immortal and how to conquer the sun. But what he doesn't know is that Tanjiro's bloodline and One for All and the power that makes him so terrified is going to continue on for the rest of eternity. And eventually, the power will culminate into something better, into something greater. And let's just say there will be no stopping it at that point, and there will be no stopping it at all. One for All will carry the generations until Muzan Kibutsuji is defeated once and for all. And that is a fact. Because Muzan, well, he is too damn scared to do things on his own necessarily, and too damn predictable when he doesn't have, you know, an ability, or doesn't have something to kind of grab for in terms of Nezuko's ability to conquer the sun. And Tanjiro, he might not be the one that defeats Muzan himself, but the generations that go on, the ones that are passed on from Tanjiro to the next, and those maybe even the children or the grandchildren or the great-great-grandchildren of Tanjiro himself, will be the reason why Muzan Kibutsuji is defeated, and this world, this entire earth, this entire planet is cleansed of the demon's tyranny. Now, with that said, that is the end. The end of What If Tanjiro Had One for All. And if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.